Today I'm gonna show you everything that I eat in a day as a vegan from breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even dessert. So let's get into it. So it is the weekend, which means it is the perfect time to make some vegan waffles. This recipe is my go-to. It's a great staple that your whole family will enjoy. So to start, you're going to add 2 cups of oats in a blender, and then we're going to blend all of that together to kind of create like an oat flour. Then we can add the rest of our ingredients. After your oats are blended into a flour, you can then add 1 banana, and you really want it to be a spotty banana to make it a little bit sweeter, but I don't have a spotty banana, so I'm just gonna use a regular yellow one. Apparently you can put it in the oven to make it a little more spotty, but I don't have time for that, so we're just gonna go with this. Next is 2 tablespoons of applesauce, and well, I'm out of applesauce, so I'm using coconut yogurt. Next is 6 tablespoons of Complement protein powder. This is my all-time favorite brand of vegan protein. Then you'll add 1 1/4 cup of almond milk or soy milk, or a combination of both, or water. Next is 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Once you have all the ingredients in your blender, you can then blend it all together until you have a nice waffle batter. This might actually need a little bit more like almond milk or soy milk, so I'll add a couple splashes. And then we're just going to blend it again. So this is my batter. It is pretty thick, which is perfect for waffles, but if you wanted to make it into pancakes, I would probably add a little bit more liquid. All right, so we've got our waffle batter, and now it's time to put it in the waffle maker. So y'all know that I really don't eat oil at all, but you know, sometimes I feel like you just have to spray your waffle maker so that the waffle doesn't get all stuck, and then you're left with the mess and scraping the waffle maker, and then it's just not worth it. So a little spray will not hurt. So now just pour your waffle batter into the waffle maker. Like I said, it's gonna be pretty thick. That's okay. Let's hope it doesn't overflow though. And then just close it. Oh yeah. Look how nice and crispy that is. This did make a really thick waffle. All right, so I'm going to make the entire batch because these are super easy to freeze and then pop in the toaster for a quick and easy breakfast for the rest of the week. So for the toppings, I'm basically just adding a lot of fresh fruit. All right, so I got my waffles plated up. They're looking super delicious and pretty. So anytime I eat waffles, I always think of Shrek in the scene where Donkey's like,
in the morning, I'm making waffles.
And that is just like etched into my brain anytime I hear that word. I usually don't eat my waffles or pancakes or anything with maple syrup, so I'm just keep them plain with fruit today. All right, this is my bite, so here we go. These are very good, very thick. I love the consistency of them. The fruit is perfect on them. Also, every morning with my breakfast, I like to take my vitamins, which are also from Complement. They're my favorite. These are like the essential ones that most people need, even if you're not vegan. You just take 4 squirts. Now it is lunchtime, and we're making vegan BLTs, which I think are perfect for lunch because I just feel like sandwiches are great for lunch. So for the B in our vegan BLT, we are using tempeh and turning it into bacon. Okay, so to start, we're going to steam our tempeh. Honestly, this part is kind of optional, but I think it helps reduce like the bitterness and helps like get the marinade soaked up better. So we're gonna chop it into 4 equal parts and then put it in the steamer basket for about 10 minutes and then let it cool, and we'll make our marinade too. For the marinade, we're gonna start with 1/4 cup of coconut aminos, but actually I'm gonna try something a little bit different this time, and I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons of coconut aminos and 2 tablespoons of tamari. But if you just have like one or the other, you could use just 1/4 cup of that. Next is 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, 2 teaspoons smoked paprika, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and a little sprinkle of pepper. Once all of those ingredients are in your bowl, you can whisk it all together until it's fully combined. All right, so when you steam it, it's going to puff up a little bit after 10 minutes, but you definitely want to let it cool before you like put it in the marinade and like slice it and everything. Once your tempeh has cooled, you can just slice them into thin strips. So then just put all of your sliced strips into a glass container. All right, I'm transferring them into a bigger container. There we go. Then just pour your marinade over them and then kind of mix them up so that they all get coated. So you can just let these marinate for at least 30 minutes. Honestly, the longer you let it marinate, the better the flavor will be, but I only have like 30 minutes, so that's all I'm doing. While the tempeh is marinating, we're gonna make some vegan mayonnaise, because what's a BLT without mayonnaise? Now, I have made this in one of my previous videos before, so I'm gonna make this pretty quick for y'all, and then if you don't wanna make your own, you can just use store-bought vegan mayonnaise, I guess. To start, you're gonna add 1/4 cup of aquafaba into a food processor and blend it up until it gets white and foamy. To the food processor, you're going to add about 12 ounces of organic tofu. So I've used firm tofu, which works just fine. I've used this brand called Marinade, which is like the brand that's like really good if you're making vegan mayonnaise, but I didn't see that one at the store. I'm trying organic silken tofu today, so we're gonna see how this goes. Then you'll add 1 teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, juice from 1 whole lemon, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, half a teaspoon of sea salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black salt. This is optional, but it gives it that eggy flavor. And then 1 teaspoon of maple syrup. Once you have all the ingredients in the food processor, you can just blend it all together. All right, so it's pretty thin right now, but after you put it in the refrigerator for a little bit, it will thicken up slightly. So once your tempeh has marinated, you're going to put it in your air fryer basket at 330 degrees for about 10 minutes. So after 5 minutes, you wanna start flipping them over and then putting them in again for another 5 minutes or until they are crisp enough to your liking. So our tempeh bacon is done, and now it is time to assemble the sandwich. I went ahead and sliced up some tomatoes, onions, avocado, and then lettuce and sprouts. So clearly I'm making a loaded BLT with extra veggies. You don't have to do that. You could just leave it a BLT. That's fine. All right, so I went ahead and toasted some bread. I can't have gluten, so this is my husband's bread, and then mine's in the back, but this is much prettier for pictures and stuff, so we're using his first. All right, so you're going to first add on your mayo, and I really did not let mine chill long enough, so it's like not thick like it should be. I would make it a day or two before, so it has lots of time to thicken in the fridge, because clearly mine did not. Then we're just going to pile on the tempeh bacon, a tomato, some onion. I've got spinach and some lettuce. We've got some avocado slices. Then I'm gonna spread a little bit of mayo on the other piece of toast. Then place it on top, smush it down. All right, so you saw the aesthetically pleasing sandwich, but here is mine. It's clearly a lot smaller because I'm using my leftover homemade gluten-free sourdough bread. And this is gonna be hard for me to like take a bite out of, so. I didn't even get the bacon, one second. This was really good. I love the tempeh bacon. It has a good little crispiness to it. The sandwich overall is very delicious. It is time for dinner, and I am literally so excited because I'm making vegan mac and cheese, and I'm gonna add some steamed broccoli in as well. And this recipe is just amazing. So first we're going to make the mac and cheese sauce, and we need to first prep some of our vegetables. So you need to peel and wash some potatoes. Usually I use like 2 to 3 russet potatoes, but I didn't have any of those, and I'm trying to use up everything that I have and not waste anything, but they're really hard to peel, so I'd recommend russet potatoes. Then you just need 1/2 cup of baby carrots. Don't bother chopping them, they're fine. And then you will chop 1/2 of an onion. You will also need to soak 1/4 cup of raw cashews, and I like to do the quick method of this by boiling water and then just pouring it on top and letting them sit for like 10 to 15 minutes or even longer. Once you have your potatoes washed and peeled, you can then add them into a pot with the carrots and boil the potatoes and carrots together until they are nice and soft. Okay, so now we're going to saute the onions and the minced garlic, and I'm just gonna splash a little bit of water and then add the onions. So once the onions are nice and soft, you can add in 4 cloves of garlic. I'm also gonna go ahead and chop my broccoli and then steam it, and I'm using about 1 head of broccoli, and I steam my broccoli for about 10 minutes or so, or until it's like to my preferred softness, texture, consistency that I like it when it's steamed. So once the potatoes and carrots are done boiling and they are nice and soft, you want to reserve about 1 cup of the water. When you drain the remaining water, you can just put your potatoes and carrots into the blender. So once the onions and garlic are soft, you can add those into the blender as well. Then you're going to add your 1/4 cup of your soaked raw cashews, 4 ounces of firm or silken tofu. Then you're going to add in 1 cup of the leftover boiling vegetable water, 1/4 cup of vegetable broth, 1/2 cup of nutritional yeast, juice from 1 whole lemon, 1.5 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric, and then about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of ground mustard powder, and then a pinch of pepper. After all of your ingredients are in the blender, just blend it all together until nice and smooth and cheesy. All right, look how nice and cheesy this is. Oh my gosh. For the noodles, I'm using these chickpea gluten-free shells from Whole Foods. They are so good and perfect for mac and cheese. So I'll just boil those for like 8 minutes or so, maybe a little longer. I like mine kind of soft. Once your pasta is done and you have already drained it, you can go ahead and add it back into the bowl. Then you can pour in your cheese sauce and then mix it all together. Look how cheesy and delicious that looks. By the way, I did not use all of the cheese sauce, so you will have leftover cheese. And then you can add your broccoli in on the side, or if you wanna like disperse it throughout, and then sprinkle it with some crushed red pepper. The mac and cheese looks freaking delicious, and I can't wait to dig in. That is so good. Brings back childhood memories. And I guess I will go ahead and eat some broccoli because I like it too. Also, if you have leftover cheese and broccoli, dip your broccoli in it because it's really good. I eat dessert every night and it's something that I look forward to because, well, I just love dessert. So tonight I'm making edible brownie batter that you could bake or eat plain, and tonight I'm probably just gonna eat it plain. To a food processor, you will add 1 can of drain and rinse black beans, 1 super ripe banana that's really spotty, except for mine is not because I didn't have any spotty bananas, 1/4 cup of oats, and then 1/4 cup of complement protein powder. I love adding extra protein to my desserts to keep me fuller longer. 1/3 cup of baking cocoa or cacao powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Once you have all the ingredients in your food processor, you can go ahead and blend it. And then if it gets to be too thick, you can always add in some unsweetened almond milk or unsweetened soy milk to help it like get going a little bit. All right, so clearly it is super thick, but I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, decaf coffee in here would be so good. So I'm gonna add some in because I have a bunch left over from the other day. So I just did a little taste test, and so did my husband. I think it's really good this way. He thinks it needs to be a little bit sweeter, so I'm gonna add in a little bit of monk fruit extract for him. So I can go ahead and add in some vegan chocolate chips, mix it all together, put it in a jar, and then I can taste it. Getting all the chocolate chips. Chocolate just makes me so happy, so I love this. If you do want it to like be sweeter or whatever, you could put like maple syrup in it. So good, great dessert. If you liked this video, you're definitely gonna wanna check out this video right here, which is 4 vegan meals that I eat every single week. Give it a click and I'll see you in the next video.